Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. So, let me turn this fan off real quick. It's freaking hot in here, but you're not going to be able to hear me. We just got back from a scale event yesterday. Don't worry, that closes. We went down to the Sepulveda Basin yesterday and took the Warbirds with us. So, EP-1, Top RC Corsair, and Bentley's Corsair over there. So, anyways, had a great time. Actually took the SR-71 and Bentley's Raphael as well. But, anyways, had a great time and everything's cleaned up. Time for a little bit of a Warbird break since we've been going super hard on these things for a number of months now. So, we're finally getting back to a project that I've put on hold for a couple of years, honestly. It's been a couple of years since I've worked on it. But made some progress today. So if you guys don't know, I don't know that I've done any videos in this model yet. I've posted some pictures and stuff. But anyways, this is a Jet Hanger Hobbies F-86 Sabre that I started, I think, about 4 years ago. So this thing, this is my second Jet Hanger Sabre. The first one I had was EDF. And quite a few years. I built it in like 2009, I think. So great flyers, pretty small by today's standards. It's 50 inches long with a 50-inch wingspan. So these are originally a glow-ducted fan-powered airplane kit, and that's why it's got this large auxiliary inlet there. And anyways, that's actually what I'm going to be powering this with. So I've got a really nice OS-46 VX and a Turbax fan. Grab that for you guys real quick. So this is a glow powered engine or nitro methane powered engine. Well, methanol mostly. But anyways, these things turn about 25,000. And I've modified the shroud a little bit to fit the fuel tanks, and I can show you guys that in a little bit. But anyways, piston powered, super cool. Almost no one does these anymore. This is a 5-inch fan. It's 120 millimeters. It's a Jet Hanger Hobbies Turbax fan, which we've run with electric motors over the years. But anyways, I'm at least going to start out with a glow motor in it. But as you can see, I'm pretty far along. I've got a number of things already done on this model. It's actually not too far from being flyable. Okay, so, and everything in here is kind of scratch built, honestly. But you can see my speed brakes. So what I just finished was the hookups for the elevator and rudder. So there is not much room in these things. So essentially this is not much bigger than a free-wing F-86, and we're stuffing a 5-inch fan in it. Why a 5-inch fan? Well, because quite frankly, that's the size fan you need to run in these things for it to fly halfway decent on a glow-powered setup. So I'm super limited on space on the roof of the fuselage there. So I'll slide in the tailpipe and you guys can take a look. But I'd actually completed the push rods and the hookups to the tails themselves quite a long time ago. I just never installed the servos, so I just got the servos in. I made some little plywood plates here, and I got some Spectrum thin wing servos in there. So basically, I'm running. Those are actually really strong servos. I'm running those in my Bearcat on the elevator. Those elevators are gigantic. So I have quite a bit of torque, and as you can see, the servo arm I'm using, they're metal for one, which is nice. That comes with the servos. But I had to go all the way to the very first hole to get the torque I needed, and also because I didn't even have room to go longer than that, as you'll see here in just a moment. But that's where we're at. This was kind of like one of the I only have to do the throttle servo and the steering servo, and that's it. The wing is basically done minus the body work. Flaps and ailerons are hooked up, hinged, everything. So We got a little Robart strut here. These are some scale hubcaps that my friend Tommy made on a 2 1/4 inch Robart wheel that I kind of ground the tread off of it. But anyways, these kits, some of the parts come pre-cut, but essentially it's almost like a scratch build by today's standards. You have some plans that show how to do things. I'm doing things a little bit different. All the speed brake stuff was all scratch built by hand. I had to figure out the geometry because Sabre speed brakes are drooped. They don't just stick straight out. So there's some interesting geometry here with the pivot point to get those to do that. Had to kind of figure all that out myself. The elevator and rudder are carved out of solid balsa. You can see I've got some metal tape on these right now. I'm doing a Minutemen paint scheme. Another thing I've done too is I've actually completely changed the profile of this opening. So the original one is not super scale, and while the size is larger than scale, I was able to get the profile really close to what I would consider a nice scale shape. So you see here, this is all done by hand. I didn't get any of these parts cut or anything. So these are all cut by hand, designed and cut by hand. So the nose gear rotates. This is a jet hanger design, so you have an offset steering arm like this. So this is on cables, and so when this retracts, this part of the arm hits this plate, and it actually rotates the nose gear as it goes in. The BVM unit is quite a bit nicer, but they're hard to find, and when you do find them, they're not exactly cheap if the guys know what they have. So these are the fan mounts. You can see I have fiberglass them into the fuselage and stiffen them up. Let me go ahead and drop the fan in here. Actually, let me put the wing on it really quick so you guys can get an idea of what's going on there. So to see just how little space we have inside of this thing. So for demonstration purposes, I just have this tailpipe taped together. This is just a stock Turbax shroud. So this is how they come, and then you put the fans together, you build them. But anyways, I haven't glued the tailpipe together yet, obviously. I just was figuring out the sizing of it. But essentially, this is just the same thing as that black fan over there that I just showed you. So right now I'm just have it all mocked up just so I can check fit everything and get the sizing proper, and then you basically super glue this fiberglass pipe together, and that becomes your tailpipe. Okay, so I know it's comical to see a fan this big in a model like this, but this is how things used to be done back in the 80s and 90s, well, mostly 80s, late 70s. To get the most performance out of these things, you kind of had to cram as big of a fan as you could possibly get into the airframe. Now, sometimes that worked out without any kind of auxiliary air inlet, and sometimes it didn't. And obviously, in the case of the Sabre, you have a relatively small nose, which is not enough air for the fan. So you can, leave so this is originally designed to have an open duct. There's no ducting in here. You can use the nose wheel well, obviously, as auxiliary air, but also you build in this nice little, most of us would call this a cheater hole, but if you tell it to the designer of this airplane, he will correct you and let you know that this is a auxiliary inlet. So basically, it's an air ramp inlet. It's like an extra inlet, basically. It's, in my opinion, much better than just a hole. It's better than just a cheater hole. Similar to what you'd find on like a free wing jet with the little ramp things in there. Anyways, very similar idea. So now we have the auxiliary inlet, but now you can see just how tight things are, and you can see where those servos are at. I mean, they are literally resting on the pipe. And when I actuate the speed brakes, those touch the pipe too. So there is literally no room left in this thing. It's kind of crazy, but you see how nice this is. I have to do like an upper, this gets like a little upper shelf in here to kind of keep the exhaust from coming up in here, because if you know anything about two-stroke glow engines, there's a lot of oil and a lot of fuel that kind of comes out of them and makes a mess. So, and the jets aren't bad as long as you don't spill any fuel inside. for the most part, everything just comes out the back. So unless you have a major malfunction of a tuned pipe or something, essentially most of the mess leaves the airplane, which is super nice. At least on these, the pusher style fans like the Byrons used, those were a disaster. Those things, the motors were in front of the fan and the tuned pipe was in front, and it would essentially blow the engine exhaust through the fan, and it just went everywhere. So basically, this will all come out as a full unit with the engine, the tuned pipe, and the tailpipe all as one piece, and you'll be able to remove it from the airplane to work on it, which, if you know anything about glow ducted fans, you'll be doing on a pretty regular basis. But you can also see, I got the wheels right here. There's a lot going on in a very small amount of room. So, I mean, everything is just as tight as it could possibly be. I'm obviously using some JP wheels and brakes, which should come in super handy. And so yeah, so basically, this is the actual fan unit I'm going to be using. So this sits here on the fan mounts. And then again, speaking of not much room, there's not much room there. So I have to make a little cover that goes from the fiberglass tailpipe up and over the engine so the engine can get cooling. But essentially that's going to sit there, and then it has these really cool conformal fuel tanks. So they don't make these anymore, but Dubro used to make these little fuel tanks that kind of fit the shape of the airplane. And these aren't specifically for this model. They worked in quite a few different ones, but basically now you can see why I notched out the side of the fan, because those also fit incredibly tight. So what I'm probably going to do, I'm going to have a piece of Velcro on the front of each tank so I can remove them from the airplane to work on them if I have to. And I'm going to make essentially a duct that goes from the nose to the fan, obviously with an opening for the cheater hole. But that'll keep me from sucking in any servo wires or anything else I don't want to go through the fan. There's going to be fuel hoses everywhere, and the original design is just like this. It's open. There's servos in here. And somehow they ran push rods from the tails up to the nose, and the servos for the tails were supposed to be up in here. But I didn't really want to run push rods like that, so I decided to do carbon tube push rods. And then like I have them mounted up here. This is a very stiff area of the model. That's another reason why I wanted to put them right there, so there's no flexing in the fuselage. But yeah, I gotta essentially finish the tailpipe, make a quick plug for an inlet duct, and then finish up my last couple of servos. This is also going to have in-flight mixture controls, so that you put a servo on a little valve, and it opens and closes this valve, and you can adjust the engine's mixture while you're flying. Now, why would you want to do that? Don't you just set the needle on the ground and then go for it? Well, on most glow airplanes, that's how you do it. But on a fan, these things are so sensitive to mixture that if you run them even slightly too lean, you can burn the glow plug. Once you burn the glow plug, the engine quits, and now you're dead stick. Not something you want with jets. So, to avoid that, because as you're flying, as the fuel level goes down, the engine will run leaner and leaner. And so you can either not have in-flight mixture and set the motor really rich. So on takeoff and for the first couple of minutes of flight, it's going to be really, really rich. It's not going to be making a lot of power. And then as the flight goes on, they'll get better and better until you come to the end of the flight. Well, you can do that. That's how I did it for a long time. Or you can put a little valve in there that's controlled by a servo that essentially restricts the fuel flow from the tanks to the engine. But anyways, so I'm going to add one of those as well. It's kind of a must-have when it comes to glow ducted fans. But anyways, that's where we're at in the project. This is kind of just a quick recap for you guys. Like I said, I can't remember if I even did any videos on this model. It's been so long. But this should weigh about 10 pounds without fuel in it. you know, obviously this is a builder's type kit, so like all this stuff, these little plugs or pins that I made, I did all that. It's not like it wasn't designed like that. Got a little hatch latch. So essentially, you trim out all the parts, you make all the parts, you install them. There's not much jigging, you know, it's all by measurements or by drawings. And so anyways, and not everyone does their control surfaces the same. These are row bar pin hinges, but you can see how I have super tight gaps, and that's actually a jet hanger method of hinging stuff. Keeps things super tight and clean looking. You can see here on my flaps, kind of the same deal. Same with the tails. Everything's nice and solid. The eventual plan is to maybe put a K-45 in this, but I definitely wanted to fly glow first because, well, that's just how these models were intended to be, and I enjoy the nostalgia of it. And a lot of people have never seen one of those fly, and so it's kind of neat to show people how ducted fans and jets started out in the hobby. So anyways, that's where we're at, and yeah, we'll come back after some more progress. Like I said, I got to make an inlet duct. That's kind of like the big thing holding me up now. Once that's done, like I said, a fuel system install and a couple of servos, and this thing's pretty much ready to fly. Obviously not finished yet, but the bodywork's basically done. Just needs some sanding. I got to finish the metal on top of the wings and the sides of the fuselage, and then everything else gets painted red. And then obviously got to order some paint stencils and everything else from Cali. But yeah, that's where we're at. Hope you guys like it, and let me know if you have any questions in the comments, and we'll see you in the next one.